How did AMG get from this 2-ton, bright red, fire-breathing Mercedes saloon to this, a road legal hypercar with a Formula One drivetrain? Let's find out. Today, we're telling the amazing story of AMG. Began in 1971 with a car that was far too heavy, far too thirsty and far too fast for anyone's good. But that car, the Rote Sau, made AMG famous. Fast forward a good 50 years and AMG took on an even more ambitious project, stuffing a current Formula One engine into a road car, creating the AMG One. We'll look at how AMG went from rogue engineers in a shed to Mercedes' official speed department, what the Rote Sau meant to them, why HWA became AMG's secret racing weapon, and then dive deep into the AMG One, its troubled birth, its mind-bending technology, and what it's actually like to drive. And yes, we will round things off by comparing the Rote Sau directly to the AMG One, because who doesn't want to compare a cigar lounge on wheels with a fighter jet in traffic? This video is brought to you by Selected Car Investment, where we buy and sell only the best collectible cars. Check our website to see if your next car happens to be in stock, or contact us for off-market cars, or if you want help to find your next investment. Before AMG was even born, Mercedes-Benz had already written motorsports history. In the 1930s, the Silver Arrows absolutely dominated Grand Prix racing. Rudolf Caracciola, Hermann Lang und Manfred von Brauchitsch piloted these silver rockets to glory on the Nürburgring, Monza and countless other race circuits of the world. After the war, Mercedes returned in the 1950s and took Juan Manuel Fangio to 2 Formula One World Championships in the W196. And in 1955, famously Stirling Moss won in the Mille Miglia in the 300 SLR, averaging nearly 160 kilometers per hour across Italy. But that same year, tragedy struck at Le Mans and Mercedes pulled out of racing altogether. By the 1960s, Mercedes were building indestructible sedans and luxury limousines. But they weren't racing them, and that's when 2 Mercedes engineers, Hans Werner Aufrecht and Erhard Melcher, started tinkering on their own. In 1965, they modified a 300 SE for the German Touring Car Championship. That car became a reference point. It was faster, louder, and proof that the Mercedes engines had hidden potential. In 1967, they founded AMG, Aufrecht, Melcher and Großachbach, the town Aufrecht was from. At first, AMG was small. They were building modified cylinder heads, hotter cams and bespoke racing engines for private customers. Think of them as Mercedes' unofficial skunkworks. But the project that changed everything was the 300 SEL 6.3, the car that would later become known as the Rote Sau. In 1971, AMG entered the Spa 24 Hours with this highly unlikely beast. It was born as a full luxury sedan, painted bright red with a race-tuned V8 engine stretched out to 6.8 liters and producing more than 400 horsepower. Nobody expected it to finish, let alone succeed. But against Ford and BMW, the Rote Sau thundered through the night and finished second overall and first in its class. After Spa, the Rote Sau raced in more endurance events, the Nürburgring, Paul Ricard, and even a couple of American outings in private hands. It was heavy, it was thirsty, and it had no rights to be there. But its speed was undeniable, and that's where AMG's reputation was made. Aufrecht years later created a separate company, HWA, literally his initials. Why? Because Mercedes wanted a dedicated partner for racing programs, and AMG was by then more focused on customer road cars. So it was HWA that became Mercedes-Benz's motorsports arm. and they ran the fearsome Mercedes 190E 2.516 in the DTM, then the CLK GTR in the FIA GT, and eventually they managed the Mercedes-Benz Formula One program when the marque returned to Grand Prix racing. And HWA and AMG branded cars took countless DTM titles, GT victories and championships, and even laid the foundation for Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes era of dominance. Which brings us up to what we could call the modern Formula One era, where Mercedes had been winning everything. An idea came from the very top. Dieter Zetsche, then Daimler CEO, wanted a new halo car. Tobias Morse, head of AMG, and Andy Cowell, boss of Mercedes high-performance powertrains, were told, let's put our Formula One engine into a road car. On paper, it sounded like marketing genius. In practice, utter madness. Formula One engines don't like traffic lights. They don't like emission tests, and they don't like cold starts. But Mercedes said, we can do it. And the moment they had said that, they had to do it. And so the project of the AMG One was born. Now let's talk tech, because that is so necessary with this car. But instead of just me rattling off numbers, I have brought in an absolute expert on the car. AMG expert, part of the AMG All Stars team, has been training people in the car. So please welcome Matthias Beckwermert. Welcome, Matthias.
Thank you for the invite, Klaus. Good to see you.
I'm happy you're here because this car, well, I'm starstruck, no pun intended, by this car and its complexity and the history. I don't even know where to start, actually.
Well, you say it, and I know you guys want to know everything about the car, but...
It's going to be a long video.
Yeah, it might be, so take your time. I would start with a question towards you guys. I don't know how you felt as a kid, if you were a car nerd. Have you played Top Trumps?
Absolutely. Who hasn't? Yeah.
Same for me. So. As a child, I already learned in Top Trumps, it is all about the top speed or engine capacity or horsepower or acceleration times.
Number of cylinders, weight, yeah, all of that.
So that was easy to understand for every kid, so you could play Top Trumps, right? Well, if we want to do it with this car, we would need not the small cards, we need a big piece of paper for the number. And that is already a part of the answer to your question. That is one of the most complex cars we're just standing in front of. So, to answer your question fully, we need a little bit of time.
If it wasn't about the numbers, what was the basic idea behind the car?
Just imagine 2015, Formula One was all over the place. Everyone knew that, the Silver Arrows were back in the game again. They've won several titles, drivers' titles, championships. So it was just a fantastic time. So the idea came up, why not bring a hypercar, as cars got called, to the market with a star in the front of it. So they thought okay, wasn't it a good idea to put a Formula One drivetrain in a road legal car? Absolutely, because you wanted to make it road legal all over the world, but at the same time you wanted to be the fastest hypercar in the world without any compromises. If you got it and your girlfriend, your wife, whatever wants to take this car for shopping, well, there's not even a glove compartment, so shopping would be maybe getting some bread from the bakery. It has to be something which is possible with that car. And here comes the complexity. They started off and they confirmed, we're going to do this thing. We're going to build a hypercar because we're the Formula One world champion and we want to put that on the road. Yeah. So coming from there, they started developing that car. And until 2017, with the first Frankfurt Auto Show, that was the first time they officially talked about the car. I was involved there. We had a big wall with a car right there. We showed to some customers, some potential customers and the audience. And we had these numbers on the wall, which we're going to refer to, which were absolutely amazing numbers.
Actually, I would almost say, based on the numbers shown in the beginning, if it weren't presented by AMG and Mercedes, some people, I guess, would say, that's impossible.
Yeah,
they're never going to do it. I'm not going to put my money down for this because it's never going to be.
So basically there were 3 units with AMG, high-performance powertrains and Multimatic being involved.
Another aspect of complexity here.
Absolutely.
Putting one car together.
Yeah. And then you start up and say like, okay, if you build a race car, that's fine. Now we gotta make it road legal. So you gotta do some things to it. So they found out during that time the complexity of that car, really making it do those numbers from the concept. You want weight distribution in a car, which means you've got a lightweight car, you've got a mid-engine car, which is the internal combustion engine, added with the MGU-K, the heat unit, which we know from Formula One, but then as well added 2 more electric motors on the front axle, 1 for each wheel. So that is adding some weight. Then you've got a battery, which needs to be a little bit bigger. That is adding some weight. And then of course it's Mercedes-Benz saying like, but we need to make sure that this is the safest car in the world as well. Like Mercedes-Benz are used to. So you want the airbags, you want a little bit of leather here and there, you want the crash units and all that stuff that goes into it.
Yes, please.
Yes, please, absolutely. Because you want to put your wife into that car and be happy with it, that she can manage to go from here to there with a sat-nav, with air conditioning, with all that stuff. So what is the concept of that car? One simple answer to this. It is the AMG One, coming from Formula One, and it's the only one on the track, on the road, which is carrying a Formula One drivetrain. That's it. But getting there, that was a long way. So to be honest, 2019, there was a big briefing where everyone was invited, and all our Kalenius really asked the question if it does make sense to continue this process or to cut it.
How close did it get?
This close, I guess. To continue that was not a thing of making money in the end. It was more like not losing faith in it, and not like losing the best customers in the world, which we have with AMG, right? So basically, you wanted a car which is road legal, which is all-wheel drive, which is good in acceleration, good in top speed, good around the corners, makes you give a big smile, but basically it needed to be a Formula One drivetrain in it. So it came along with some interesting solutions to that, I would say. So first of all, as we see the car right here, it is in track mode. So this is not road legal. If it's in road legal position, the louvers came down, the rear wing would come down, the car is a little bit high in the driving position, so 37 millimeters in the front, 30 millimeters higher in the back.
But that's also an interesting thing, because that actually, you have a dual car here. It's a road legal car, but at the push of the track button, the car is suddenly no more road legal.
Absolutely.
I wasn't aware of that. That is another complication to the already complicated car.
Yeah, but take it as an athlete in a smoking when it's in road modus, and take it as an athlete in running gear, for example, when it's in track mode. Technology in the back we're going to talk about as well, but let's first go to the rear and talk about the aerodynamics.
Let's see.
So Klaus, looking at the car is just, I mean, from my perspective, it's a sheer beauty, not just about the aesthetics, but as well about the fascination of the technology we're using. Coming from a Formula One car, of course, you need a big wing on it, which you wouldn't have in road mode, because then it's integrated into the full bodywork.
And completely changes the look of the car.
The style of the car is different, the rake and the ride height of the car is changed. This part is movable, so we call it a DRS system, drag reduction system, as everyone who watches Formula One knows. This is good for adjusting the car between somewhere aiming for top speed and aiming for downforce. So we've got at the front splitter or behind the front splitter, there's parts which reduce the drag actually. The same would be done right here. This wing comes back in. And the louvers we just saw, the front would close. So that would be something to make the car better in the air, pretty much. So the drag is reduced, so we have got more top speed, which will then end another number in 352 limited kilometers per hour. So it could do more.
It's just crazy numbers, and especially adding, I quite like you put that in, limited.
Limited.
And what I can't help thinking about is also that in a race car, you only have a small window where the car is supposed to work. But here, you have a lot of other integrated systems. We mentioned the safety aspect of the car, the drivability, even in cold weather, but making it all play together. We need some computers or something.
We do, lots of them.
Lots of them.
Of course, you can imagine, back in the days, we had like 18,000, 19,000 RPM. That generation of the cars, they were limited to 15,000 on the higher level. Is that good for the road? Is that allowed?
I'm not sure there's a law against 15,000, but it's again
But the emissions, maybe.
Maybe that's not where you burn fuel most efficiently.
Yeah,
no, you're
absolutely.
right. Yeah.
So that is the top peak where we said, okay, for reliability, for noise, for emissions, so on, we got to go down with that. So talking 10, 11,000 RPM, which is a lot.
Yeah, still an amazing amount of revs. Yeah.
On the lower end, we would have somewhere around, in those modern Formula One cars, 3,500 to 4,000 RPM revs idle. So that's the standard. So my company car is a diesel. It has got the rev limiter somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
So that's a standard. Again, not good for emissions, not good for noise and so on.
Drivability, I would suppose, would be nice to have as well.
Yeah. So we had to come down with that as well to somewhere around 1,000 RPM, 1,100 RPM, something like that. So to do that with a 1.6 liter engine is not just to put some numbers in the computer that would go like this. It's a Formula One engine. It's designed to rev.
Yeah.
It's not designed to have a big torque curve like the typical AMG V8s, for example,
No,
have.
it's not a 63.
Exactly. You want to start moving with this car on low revs. You don't want to have a clutch, which you need to engage with 6,000 RPM. So that's how it all started to get complicated. But before we just talk about, why not have a look at the engine?
Let's have.
So down here is a V6 engine, 1.6 liter capacity. So for all of you guys out there, you know compact cars with 1.6 liter engines, which would make around 100 horsepower maybe, turbocharged. While this one is close to 600 horsepower. Just from the combustion engine, it's 576 horsepower to be exact.
Power per liter is crazy.
Absolutely.
That is not road-going car territory at all.
Absolutely, and please remember, we cut down the maximum RPM from the Formula One engine to come down to these almost 600 horsepower. Then it's adding an electric turbocharger, like in Formula One, and it's adding an electric motor to the crankshaft of the engine. So that has two things to do. Basically, we can start the car on that. It can add, of course, some energy to the crankshaft, so give you more power out of the engine. But at the same point, it can recuperate, so it can trade in some energy back to the battery if you want. So the full system output is 1,063 horsepower. So that is coming from the internal combustion engine with the two electric motors. That all goes into the transfer of the gearbox, which is at the rear axle. Additional to this, we've got two electric motors in the front individually. So it's not one engine to put the power to both sides. They're individual, which makes it, from the driving point of view, not reactive, but proactive. Because you don't need any traction systems or something. The electric motors are so much sharper than any combustion engine ever will be. So that is fantastic from the driving point of view. All the power basically goes into the full car. So like we've got this unit going to the back, we've got two other units in the front, we've got the electric batteries right there. Just to add to the 8.7 kilowatt hour battery, that gives you a fantastic range of a hybrid car, which we should not forget, of 17 kilometers. This car was never intended to be driving fully electric. Like the first question from any customer willing to buy a hybrid car is like, okay, how much is the range?
Yeah.
So in this case, you would never think about it, right?
No, I never thought about the range.
But still it does. And of course the battery is bigger because we've got so many components which use the battery.
There are a few hypercars out there that are, against the tide of time, manual. But this one is, of course, automatic gearbox.
Right. In the philosophy of Formula One, we have pedal shift.
Yes. I've had the pleasure of driving several Mercedes with these automatic gearboxes, and they are always so butter smooth. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well, you might find yourself in a car which is more rough in this case, and I really mean it like this. For the engineers, you said the torque converters of Mercedes-Benz, AMG, Maybach, they're smooth as butter.
Yeah.
What do you want in a race car? You want it to be rough.
Reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to take it to the bakery, as you said, and you don't want it to be complicated. You want to have a drivability which is smooth as well, as it gets in a sports car. So what we came up with is automated manual transmission if you want so it does use a clutch. So the good thing for you as a driver, you just have two pedals, like automatic, gas pedal, brake pedal, that's it, no clutch to be dealt with. The car does it all by itself. But then again, it does mean that you have a clutch, which is a single clutch system, so it takes one gear out, puts another gear in. So you've got a bit of a delay. Yeah. But that emotionally gives you like, bam, the gear is in, so you love that. Yeah. Even though you would expect a quicker gear change maybe. But the main reason we did that, apart from driving those cars on the road, it's all fine. If you score lap times, yeah, it's all fine as well. This gearbox, the whole setup of the gearbox is just 125 kilos. Basically, this same drivetrain would be put into Formula One cars, back in those days of Lewis Hamilton, for example, who would then hit the track. Before you would run those engines, there would be engineers putting on laptops and checking the temperatures, putting everything on temperature, pre-climatizing parts of it, the oil and everything. And just if they are done with that, and that might take a couple of minutes or half an hour, then they would call Lewis Hamilton and say like, okay, get in the car, you can drive out now. Would you want that with that car if you want to go to the bakery?
Oh, how many engineers would that be? I would need 4 croissants, 2 for myself and my wife and 2 for the engineers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where to put it?
Where to put it and when to eat it, because those guys will be very busy. Yes. So just imagine the engineers are inside the car. So the whole technology is being provided, some helpers, some systems. Some people which have the knowledge brought into the software of that car. So you, with the only knowledge you have got a driver's license if you want so, and you know how to get it in gear, but that's it. You don't need to understand the whole complexity of the car, but you can drive it. So basically, like I told you, 3,500 to 4,000 RPM is the revs we have. So that would never be possible, 4,000 times per minute to bring the emissions out to get this car road legal, put license plates on it. Not possible. So we had to come down to approximately 1,000 RPM, which is still double of what my diesel has. Yeah. So to do that, we would use the electric motor on the crankshaft to be used as a brake, an engine brake if you want so. So that brings down the RPM. Yeah. So we met that thing. Then one other engineer said like, yeah, but guys, if we use an electric motor to brake the engine speed, down to 1,000 RPM, that generates energy, so we need to put it to the battery, right? Yeah. So okay, sure. So let's make a bigger battery so that works.
So we can, charge it
tick the box.
Idle, yeah.
Then the next engineer came around who was wearing the lenses of the customer, said like, basically if this car sits in a collection, it's on the cable, so the battery is full. Ah, right, so if the battery is full, we cannot start the car, right? Oh, right. So you cannot start the combustion engine if the car is fully charged.
No.
But you want to drive it right now.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But you can. 2 things we did. So first of all, this car can drive fully electric. So if you want to start the car, if you're parked somewhere in the way, you want to move it, you don't want to wait for the battery to come down to move the car, right?
That's how it got here, Matthias, of course.
Exactly, fully electric.
Yeah.
So you've got the front axle, and you would start it, and once it's ready on the display, it's like this, you can always move the car. You can drive it any kind of way. So solution being done. But now, you want to hit the Autobahn. So you want to go higher speeds, Autobahn in Germany, motorway, wherever. So you want to put the pedal down, you want the full power output. You've got a cold engine, so what's going to happen? It's not good for the engine, right? So the engineers thought like, okay, if we want to bring emissions down, it would be good if the catalytic converters down here, which look pretty funny. So those things work best when they're heated up to 500 degrees. So the engineers said, okay, if you want to drive your car and use the combustion engine, we need to make sure that the battery runs lower so you can start it. Because if it's still 100% while you're driving, you cannot start the combustion engine. So preheating those things to 500 degrees takes away 5% of state of charge of the battery. That takes up to maximum of 120 seconds. So latest after 120 seconds, you can press the button or put it in race mode, for example, and then use the internal combustion engine.
That's so crazy tech, Matthias. Because actually 500 degrees, that's also like 90 bars of pressure. 500 degrees is an enormous amount of heat.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I know of no other car which is that engineered like this to make it possible for anyone to drive a Formula One car on the road within seconds.
To be honest, the waiting time for the finished car felt very long, but the more you explain, the more it makes sense. And actually, the more I look forward to seeing how it works.
2 things we need to do. Put those pedals back on, and then I left the door open for you because you'll be in the driver's seat now, right?
Right.
Looking forward to it?
Well, I have one engineer with me and a lot of computers.
And plenty of engineers in here, so what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Let's
prepare her.
Yep.
Let's go.
Thanks. Now this is about as close to real world conditions as you'll get. The first thing we meet is a roadworks. I don't believe it.
Like, be careful so it doesn't go. That was the first bigger excitement.
Excitement of the wrong kind.
Oh yeah.
But still, what's important to me as a car reviewer now, the car worked.
Yep. It did its job, yeah. How does it feel for you steering it with this steering wheel, which is basically just 2 grip handles?
It is amazingly comfortable. The thing is, because it's so direct, it works. If it wasn't, you would need to do a full circle. Then it would be uncomfortable, as we did when we maneuvered the car.
Yeah.
And I have the question now, why did we go back into full electric?
Because the race safe mode is a hybrid mode, so the car decides by itself what it can do. We've got a little bit of battery state of charge, and it says like, hey, you're not accelerating hard, we've got enough battery, so we can save some petrol, so you drive fully electric.
To be honest, Matthias, I've never driven a car that has thrown up so many surprises at me. I never thought I would find this driving mode even remotely interesting.
Yeah.
But it is actually really spaceship.
There it is again.
And it's 3,000 RPM, and it sounds like, I don't know.
Remember when I said you gotta enjoy your car with all your senses?
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. But you're always asking me for the impressions, and I was at the beginning completely intimidated. That stops me every time. It was so intimidating hearing you tell about how fast, how complex, everything. But driving it, it actually works much smoother than I thought. Yeah. Only the noise levels are, let's say, unusual. And again, whenever we drive over anything, you can feel it through the whole car.
I remember Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear once describing a car. He said when he ran over one of the small animals, the car was so precise, especially the steering, that he could tell by that what it ate the last time.
I believe that. And we're hitting the
displays
Autobahn.
too.
It's not a de-restricted one. We don't have them here in Denmark. That was the one overtake we got in this drill.
Yeah. You shift down to 4th or 3rd gear right now, and then give it the beats once if you like. From 9,000 RPM and a Formula One drivetrain down to 0 RPM driving fully electric. How big is that contrast?
You know, I've been around cars for many, many years, and I'm still amazed that novelty comes up, and this car, you know, I'm really speechless, but this car, it's not just complex and complicated from a technical point of view. Also, what is this thing? It's just amazing. And you know, I had the pleasure of having a test drive at Immerding in the passenger seat.
Immerding, the proving ground of Mercedes-Benz.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the rare occasions where I actually felt rather sick because the power of the car, and we are not exploiting anywhere near this. So instead, I'm just amazed of how well it works as a car.
And what I've just seen, there's like people standing on the road, clapping their hands, seeing this car. So the fascination of that car in the flash to see it is just there.
Yeah, I didn't
just
even
smiling all the way. So yeah.
Well, they probably heard it from a long way.
Back to where we started.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Well, Matthias, it was just about the shortest test drive I've ever done, but still I'm out of breath, and the car surprised me like no other car has for many, many years, if ever.
Well, Albert Einstein already said time is relative, right?
I will go back in time and recall this moment when I drove this fantastic car. And yeah, I cannot say you thank enough that you introduced me to the car, intimidated me at first, brilliant tactics. And then the car sort of made everything smooth out. What a fantastic thing.
That's great to hear.
You are well worth your AMG star rating.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. And yeah, it was fantastic meeting the team, driving with you, and like being here in the car collection. But there's one last thing I would like to say.
Yeah.
We started with talking about top trumps and like cars or manufacturers aiming for top speed or acceleration.
Numbers game.
And you asked me your first question, what was this goal about? Well, we took it to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is something you measure sports cars, racing cars, any kind of sporty cars with. And I just say one last number, which is 6 minutes 29.090, driven by Mauro Engel, and then being the fastest production car around the Nürburgring. End of discussion.
There's nothing I can add to that. I believe it after having driven the car. And yeah, another thing that it's just amazing. So yeah, well done. You'll probably understand by now that I am seriously impressed by this car. But a relevant question is, it's not the only car in the marketplace. What could you compare this thing to, if anything? The Ferrari SF90. Simpler, more usable, but it's nowhere near as exotic. The Bugatti Chiron. Devastatingly fast, but much more of a private jet than a fighter jet. The Aston Martin Valkyrie, well, perhaps that's the only real rival. It uses a screaming Cosworth V12 and even wilder aero. So between the Valkyrie and the AMG One, it's a coin toss. The Aston looks like an alien spacecraft. The AMG is more like a science experiment that somehow escaped the lab. Both are insane. But the AMG One wins the award for sheer stubbornness. The car that said, yes, we really will put an F1 engine on your driveway. Now let's close the loop by taking a look back at the Rote Sau. In 1971, AMG decided to take an overweight limousine and turn it into a race car, and everyone said it was ridiculous until it crossed the finish line in second place. In 2017, they announced they would make a hypercar with a full-blown Formula One drivetrain and make it road legal. Everyone said it was impossible until the finished AMG One rolled out of Walterbach. The Rote Sau drank fuel like a brewery drain. The AMG One recycles hybrid energy like a spaceship. One was fat, the other is lean. Both were laughed at until they proved themselves. So how did AMG get from this to this? By never listening to reason. By building cars they weren't supposed to build. By saying, this is madness, let's do it anyway. That's AMG. And that's why both the Rote Sau and the AMG One are legends. If you like this dive into AMG history, give the video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more collector car stories. And then I have a big question for you. Would you rather daily an AMG One or the Rote Sau? Personally, I think the Rote Sau has the better boot.